Alright, and here we are for round one. We lost the die roll, and we are waiting for our opponent to decide whether he would like to play first. Pull up these graveyards while we wait. I like to have both graveyards as well as the text chat up so that I just have all of my resources right in front of me. Our opponent has disconnected. Well then, hopefully he makes it back in a timely fashion, but you know, things happen in life, so it's understandable. In the meantime, I guess I am going to pause the recording so you guys don't have to suffer through this, and I will reconvene when he comes back. Alright, and we are back. Looking at our opening hand, it doesn't really have any removal, but it does have a Thoughtseize and multiple Tarmogoyfs. I mean, even if we're playing against Burn here, I don't mind this. Thoughtseize can generally be good for, you know, one life. I mean, albeit like I trade my turn for it, and I'm probably going to fetch just a Black Source depending on what he plays here. But I think that this is a keep, although not a particularly powerful one. And the opponent is on a mulligan to 6. So he did lead off with Basic Mountain and a Grib Lavamancer. Leads me to believe it is probably Burn. So what we're going to go ahead and do is play a Marshflats and then just fetch a basic Swamp and Thoughtseize him. The reason I led with the Marshflats instead of the Verdant Catacomb is because I would like to fetch a basic green for Tarmogoyf next turn. Playing multiple Tarmogoyfs and just racing is kind of one of your better strategies in game 1. I mean, obviously you'd rather race with Siege Rhinos, but you know, you take what you can get. Oh, and it looks like we are actually facing Splinter Twin. That was certainly a possibility. The Basic Mountain was the main reason I didn't think that was going to be the case, but just go ahead and record the lands that he has right now. Lighthouse and Tech Edge. Okay, we'll take the T-Rex here, and we're actually in, you know, pretty good shape here. Opponent doesn't really have a lot going on, and we can pretty easily play around Tectonic Edge with just the 2 drops in our hand. I still like just going to get a basic forest here. Some of these decks do main deck Blood Moon, and he has led off with a pretty high amount of basics here, so he's certainly not, it's not without the realm of possibility that he'll just drop a Blood Moon. And saving the life is also pretty relevant when your opponent's win condition is currently Grim Lavamancer. Okay, so he played the land we didn't know about, so he still has Desolate Lighthouse and a Tectonic Edge in hand and 1 unknown card. So I think we're just going to attack first. Let's see what he does here. One thing he could do is he could block, fetch his land, and then before damage eat both of the things out of his yard, making the Tarmogoyf a 2/3, and effectively trade the Grim Lavamancer with the Tarmogoyf, but I don't really mind that so much. So we're just going to go ahead and play I think here we are going to, again, just try to play around Blood Moon as best as we can to start. So we'll go ahead and just play the Marsh Flats, and then cast a Tarmogoyf here. Since we're already planning on fetching a Plains with the Marsh Flats, there's no real incentive to fetch in any kind of a timely fashion. So we're currently Tectonic Edge and one other card. It doesn't have lands that can produce cryptic commands, so we're not super worried about anything that he can do to our Siege Rhino. I mean, he could mana leak it, but also, being that we know one of his cards in hand is not combo, we're not super concerned about getting comboed out here either. So I think we're probably just going to lead off with an attack here, and then drop the Siege Rhino. Instead of Inquisitioning and trying to Siege Rhino next turn. Like if I had a follow-up play, like any other thing that I could dedicate to the board, I would probably lead off with Inquisition. But right now, I think that just applying pressure on him is going to be our best option. Again, just trying to take the least amount of damage off of our lands as possible, because Splinter Twin often is on the burn you out plan, so. He'll probably loot here into turn. Maybe not though. The Tech Edge is pretty solid. Being able to kill our Gavany Township is certainly something he's interested in. Okay, does choose to loot. And discards the Tech Edge, so we don't know any more of the cards in his hand at this point. But that is fine. We do have the Inquisition of Kozilek. He's also dead on board to no blocks if I play my land with Gavany. So now he's representing Cryptic Command, which is a bigger issue for us. We get slightly punished here for playing so conservatively on our lands, because we would certainly like to threaten Gavany Township, and then if he blocks, we just follow it up with an Inquisition, a Liliana. But I mean, just following it up with an Inquisition is probably going to be fine here. Definitely going to play the Overgrown Tomb and pay 2 life here. And then we will, we're just going to get in there. See, let us go to our attacks, so no Cryptic Command there. Delving something here, so probably, oh, Harvest Pyre, interesting. It's not one that I've seen very often, but and it is for 5, so am I missing something here? Deals X damage to target creature, so we can just, we can just Gavany Township here. I'm not really sure if he has something else, or if just missed that one. Yeah, it looks like he just made a little bit of a misstep there. He was pretty far behind though, so it probably wouldn't have mattered. But. Okay, going to the sideboard. I really like Fulminator Mage in this matchup. Keeping them off of their lands is really important, especially when they're trying to Snapcaster Mage back things, and they oftentimes bring in things like Keranos, which are really hard to deal with, but they cost a lot of mana. So I like bringing in the Fulminator Mages. I like the Knight of Souls Betrayal as well. Duress is certainly powerful, and let's see. Maelstrom Pulse is not usually something I'm interested in. The only permanents that they really have in play that Maelstrom Pulse would be good against are Batterskull, but they'll oftentimes just return it in response, and the other one would be Keranos, which is indestructible anyway, so it's pretty easy out here. I'm also not a huge fan of Lingering Souls in this matchup, being that they play all the Electrolyzes and Snapcasters and everything. You just don't get a lot of value off of them very often. They're nice for blocking Vendilion clicks, but that's about it. And with us bringing in the Knight of Souls Betrayal, it's just not worth the risk, I don't think. So I like boarding out those. I've been on the fence about the Noble Hierarchs. It's nice to be able to kind of get out to a point where you can disrupt them and also have a threat, like to where you can play a threat and a reactive spell on the same turn. So the mana advantage is nice there, but it's such a bad draw any turn after turn 1 that I don't feel like that's where I want to be. Especially because this matchup post-board actually can come down to a top deck fest a lot of the time. So I like boarding in the Path to Exile and the Slaughter Pact for just a little bit of extra removal there. And yeah, I pretty much like this setup here. Your powerful cards here are obviously, you know, discard spells, Abrupt Decays, Liliana the Veil, and Fulminator Mages. I've considered cutting some number of Rhinos, but they're just really good if they're on the burn you out plan. So I really like this configuration. It's kind of a, you know, try to get to the late game into a top deck war, and then, you know, hopefully my top decks are better than yours, which has been the plan for, you know, the rock decks for some time now. Alright, let's give this a try. Alright, and we have quite a bit of what we're looking for here. The only problem is the way we have to play this hand with the current configuration we have of spells is going to leave us pretty soft to Blood Moon, which we can almost assuredly assume that he has post-board. I still think it's a keep. I think we're going to try to navigate our way to being able to hold up Abrupt Decay for Blood Moon. And being on the draw, we can always draw, you know, like if we draw like a Verdant Catacomb, we're much less susceptible to that kind of a thing. Or just a natural forest, even. That is another argument for keeping in the Noble Hierarchs, but they have so much burn, again, that like they can oftentimes just burn out your Noble Hierarch, and then you're still gonna lose to the Blood Moon. So yeah, here I like just playing the Marsh Flats and passing the turn. Most likely we're going to fetch for the Overgrown Tomb here because we need to have green, and unfortunately we can't fetch Basic Forest off of Marsh Flats. Siege Rhino. Yeah, so here, just gonna play another land and pass the turn. Hopefully he gets a little overzealous with the Blood Moon and just decides to run it out there into Abrupt Decay mana. I think that an ideal scenario for him would be something like, you know, Deceiver Exarch to tap down one of my lands and, you know, causing me to Abrupt Decay right then, and then he could untap and slam a Blood Moon, which would be a big problem for me. Fetch land would be a great draw, so we can kind of try to mitigate that a little bit. Looks like he's going to Exarch us in the in the upkeep. We're hoping he chooses Overgrown Tomb, I suppose, so that we at least have Path if he goes for combo. Okay, so he does go for the Chapel. I think that we're just gonna play the game where we can't actually beat the combo unless we draw another land that produces black or green, and just let this happen to us. He drew a Fulminator Mage. Not a great draw. So here we're just gonna run out the Tarmogoyf. I think we're probably gonna get Blood Mooned, and we'll probably lose from there. Of course, he could just be going for Splinter Twin here as well. Based on the mountain, I'm gonna assume he's going for Splinter Twin, and yeah, that's gonna be it there. Sideboarding on the play and the draw, I feel like is pretty much the same in this matchup. I still like all the things that I had there. I mean, that's why Slaughter Pact is so good in this matchup. You could see he just like went for it because he assumed that there was no way that I was going to be able to interact with that. And you get people with that a lot of the time. People forget that Slaughter Pact is a card. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and run this back. Hopefully we'll draw, some more early disruption, such as, Inquisition, Kozilek, and Thoughtseize and Duress. Even in this matchup, though, I don't think that you can mulligan a hand based on the fact that it doesn't have any of those. So, which is why I like to run such a high number, so you just get them more often instead of having to mulligan aggressively for them. Like this hand, for instance, is great. It's got 2 pieces of disruption as well as a Fulminator Mage and basic lands to beat the Blood Moon. So we're absolutely going to keep this. I don't know how much different it is whether we lead with the Duress or the Thoughtseize. I think leading with Duress is fine. I mean, if he has an Exarch or anything that we actually need to take, we can just Thoughtseize him again next turn. So go ahead and lead out with a Duress. Alright, and he is playing a very control game this time, so... his hand needs quite a lot of help to actually get anywhere. So I think it's probably actually correct to take a Visions here, and then I assume he'll cast a Visions on his turn, and then we'll get to a Thoughtseize away whatever it is he drew, assuming that we don't draw a threat of our own. Yeah, that's the play we're going to go with. Alright. Okay, so and he put both on top of his library, which is not great for our Thoughtseize plan. So if we draw pretty much anything else, well, we still have to be proactive enough. So we'll Inquisition him here with the plan of playing a Fulminator Mage next turn. Hopefully he plays a non-basic land. So he did have Mana Leak, which is going to be the clear pick here since we're trying to resolve the Mage next turn. And he drew a second copy of Island. We'll go ahead and play this land. The Fulminator Mage is going to be quite good for us, even if he doesn't have a basic land. It's just going to be a nice little attacker, kind of put a little bit of pressure on him, which is what we're really in the market for right now. Definitely want a white source, and since we need to have double black to cast Fulminator Mage, it means Godless Shrine. He played the Foothills out of his hand, so let's get rid of that. Ooh, Liliana of the Veil. I do like that card quite a bit in this matchup. I think that we're probably still going to play the Fulminator Mage as, I think he'll probably take the opportunity to just kill it at some point. It's really hard, actually. I would rather the Fulminator Mage die to a Harvest Pyre than the Liliana, so we're going to go ahead and just, throw that out there. Hopefully we'll draw another black source next turn so that we can play Liliana plus Thoughtseize. I have to assume he's fetching the basic mountains only to keep his life total high, because I actually have no idea, because if you're going to Blood Moon anyway, like those lands, the steam vents are going to become. I guess it's better against the Fulminator Mage specifically. Sure. So I like attacking first. If he has an instant speed spell that he wanted to use, he would just use it in response to the Thoughtseize, so we'll go ahead and attack. And then we'll Thoughtseize before playing a land, since we can beat Spell Pierce anyway. Snapcaster Mage. So, this graveyard currently contains a pair of Serum Visions and a Mana Leak. I think we want to just take the. I think we want to just take the Snapcaster Mage here. Next turn he'll have pretty much everything online that he'll need to make that work. So yeah, we're just going to take the Snapcaster here, and then I'm going to play the Liliana of the Veil while the shields are, semi down. I don't really feel the need to fetch any kind of a dual land here. The only way that we get punished for that is if we have Scavenging Ooze and we're expecting to draw another Snapcaster, but I like being able to cast my double black spells even through a Blood Moon. So yeah, we'll just go ahead and get a Swamp here, cast Liliana, and I didn't really care much about Path to Exile, especially given the context of his hand, so we're going to go ahead and tick up here. I expect that the Liliana Veil will get Harvest Pired. I do wonder if the Harvest Pyre is main deck or if it's sideboard for this matchup, because I can certainly see a lot of scenarios where that card just is very bad. Wildwood is not a bad draw. So we want to tick up Liliana before attacks, so we're gonna go ahead and play the Wildwood and then tick up. We know his hand is currently Dispel and Harvest Pyre, so. Oh, you know what? I actually think that Harvest Pyre can only hit creatures. The reason I was confused there was because people used to use it on their own Boros Reckoners in order to deal the damage to their opponents. So this Liliana is actually probably a pretty big problem for him. How do I want to play this? I think, again, just pressuring him is just going to be the way we want to go, and him having the Dispel for our Path to Exile means that the Path is just probably not going to do enough. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and just have each player discard again. Discarded the Dispel, okay. So, if I animate the Wildwood, he's almost definitely going to Harvest Pyre that. Doesn't really set me back in terms of mana or anything, though, so I don't mind that so much. And yeah, we'll just go ahead and get in there with this. And next turn we're going to be able to ultimate a Liliana, which is probably going to be the end of the game if he doesn't have an answer for it this turn. I mean, the answers are, you know, numerous in this deck at this point. Like, he could any burn spell will take me off of that at least for a few turns. But this is kind of the exact situation where I'm talking about Harvest Pyre. Just feels worse than most of the other spells that they have. I mean, it was nice when it was able to kill the Siege Rhino in the other game, but not backbreaking by any means. And we're just going to go ahead and minus here. Pestermite is going to untap an island. Okay. That is acceptable. So the Stirring Wildwood actually does have reach, so we're not super concerned about this Pestermite at all. So if we drag the Pestermite down to this pile, I think that something like that is probably best. He can either have a Pestermite and 2 lands that doesn't contain red, or he can have 2 lands that do contain red. Basically leaving him the option to either have red mana or have a Pestermite. And he chose the Pestermite. Here, I think I want to actually just get down Scavenging Ooze. Being that he doesn't have red mana, he's unlikely to burn it away next turn, and I like to have the insurance against future Snapcaster Mages, and also just have the extra threat on the board. We'll go ahead and eat the Snapcaster Mage out of his graveyard right now. We're in a pretty commanding spot right now. He does have more cards in hand than we do, obviously, but it's going to take quite the sequence for him to be able to win this game off of 2 lands and a 2/1 flyer that's actually doesn't compete with any of the creatures that we have. We're going to just go ahead and shock ourselves for that one, so that way we can animate our Stirring Wildwood and still have green up for protecting us against Snapcaster Mage and things like that. He's also very close to dead, so he's probably in chump block mode here. Because if we draw a removal spell next turn, he won't have that option. Oh, well, he's going to take it, so. And we got there. So starting off 1-0, and we will see you for round 2.